It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul.
Good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Today is October 3rd, 2023, and Elizabeth May wants to be Speaker of the House. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not kidding. She definitely wants to be Speaker of the House, and her hat's in the ring. I'll show you the short list, and they should be voting soon, this week anyway, to figure out who the new Speaker will be. Coordinated censorship all across the EU, all across the West, the United Kingdom, all sorts of other jurisdictions are passing censorship laws, and Canada is no different. I will show you the podcast censorship laws that are happening. And I mean, I've already shown it to you. We've already talked about it. The laws are such that the podcast people, the streamers themselves, the businesses that actually put out the podcasts are the ones being regulated. And so they have to register. And so after registration comes the shoe, right? The other shoe will drop at that point in time, and podcasts will be able to be registered or regulated, excuse me. So that's interesting. In 1991, they firmed up the climate change lie, and I will show you the video and the book that they talk about that in. I think it's interesting, and I put it in the context of not just the climate narrative we're currently fighting against, because it is very much it's a manipulation used to drive humans. To the point, I've previously said rats are predictable. If you starve a rat and put cheese in the middle of their maze and put them at the front of the maze, predictably they'll run to the middle of the maze. In 1991, they put cheese in the middle of the climate change maze, and they started trying to get humans to go to the middle of that maze by using their manipulation tactics, including the media, scientists, experts, government. Okay, that's how we're manipulated. And I've got some things to show you to prove that hypothesis, or at least make the argument. So that's what I do. I make the argument. I don't know that I prove it every day, but I try and make a good argument every day. How's that? So I'll show you that. Ruin somebody's career. I'll show you an update about a general or a lieutenant colonel, excuse me, I think a lieutenant colonel maybe. They cleaned out the military with bullshit sexual harassment charges a couple of years ago in order to get away with what they've so far gotten away with. And now all of those charges are kind of just disappearing. So I'll show you an update on that. People are against mass migration. New York doesn't want them. Poland doesn't want them. I'll show you that. India dispels Canadian diplomats, but not all of them. And Suk Dhaliwal, I think that's how you say his name, is going to be a big name in the next week or two. But right now, it's just me telling you about this. But soon, Suk Dhaliwal is going to be headlines everywhere. And I've got a Ukrainian update. So it looks like they are surrendering. It looks like the Ukrainian army is surrendering. I've got more footage on that and a 15-minute show to show you. I won't show you the 15-minute show, I promise this time. And but you can watch it if you're interested. It's very interesting. I watched half of it, and I thought, they make a good argument. They make a good argument. There's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, we have to start at Stephen Guilbeault. Paul Mitchell says, Trudeau's climate scam minister Stephen Guilbeault admits that the federal government will limit the use of natural gas in the transportation, steel, cement, aluminum, electricity, and oil and gas sectors. So basically, the Liberals will blow up the economy to reduce harmless CO2 emissions. Natural gas is how a lot of people heat their homes in Ontario. And in 2017, 2016, Kathleen Wynne came out with the idea that by 2030, we weren't going to have natural gas in Ontario anymore. And everybody said, you are kooky, lady. Holy smokeronies, nut job, get out. If you're not in touch with reality, we don't want you being the premier of the province. Get out, right? And that's what's happening with these Liberals. They're so taken by their false ideology that they don't understand that most people are like, these people are crazy. They're not going with them on this. We're not going to jump out of the plane to construct a plane on the way down that we can land safely. That's not going to happen. We're not doing it. No, we're not jumping out of a plane without a parachute to construct a plane on the way down. Not happening. Here's Stephen Guilbeault saying, we will not have liquid natural gas. We will not have fossil fuels in any industries. Here we go.
On how much natural gas you can use.
Yes, absolutely. That's what fighting climate change looks like. Limiting the amount of fossil fuels we're using. And we're doing that in the transportation sector. We're doing that in the cement sector. We're doing that in the steel and aluminum sector. We're also doing it in the electricity sector, and we're doing it in the oil and gas sector.
So it's going to cost a lot of money just in the electricity sector, just in the heating your home sector. Dan McTeague says he won't have the luxury or authority. Now that eliminating natural gas plants in Ontario will cost every household $3,000 more yearly, campaigning against these climate wingnuts should be a breeze. Liberals have already made life less affordable for Canadians. Canadians won't forget. And I don't think he's wrong. Here is the origin of the climate change scam. And it is a scam. It is absolutely a manipulation. It is we are being led to believe a false thing, and we are being led to believe it for reasons that are untoward. People are knowingly misleading an entire population, the entire world about this. They know it. They planned it, and they published a book about it. Here is a quick video about that.
At some point down the line, the narrative changed to be around climate. What was the narrative prior to that? What was the justification they were giving in order to push, this kind of more control from the top down?
Yeah, immediately preceding climate and environment, actually the Cold War was the pretext for having this incredibly large, incredibly powerful federal government. In fact, you see a very clear break when the Club of Rome met in 1991 as the Soviet state and the Eastern European communist states were collapsing. The Club of Rome.
I'm breaking in here very quickly to add a little bit more context. At the end of the Soviet Union, when the Soviet Union collapsed, the whole point of NATO was to be anti-communist Soviet Union, to be a bulwark against that. Okay? So the point of NATO dissolved at the same time. So the reason they had to meet was because their whole bullshit construct, the reason for them to exist, no longer exists. So what are we going to do? We'll shift the lie. That's what they're going to do. That's what they did. They shifted it in this direction.
Rome, very, very powerful elitists. Obviously, Mikhail Gorbachev was there. You had many prominent Americans, people like Al Gore. They got together and they came up with this incredible document where they actually said we need a new justification for this all-powerful state. So the new excuse is going to be because the environment is going to be harmed and because climate is going to hurt us.
Wait, what? I could not believe what I just heard. Did world leaders really lay out this globalist plan in plain English in a physical book way back in 1991? I went on Amazon, and there it was. The First Global Revolution, which states, and I quote, "In searching for a common enemy to unite us, we came up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine, and the like would fit the bill. And therefore, the real enemy is humanity itself."
The science is clear. We are getting dangerously close to the point of no return.
The science is very clear. This natural world is severely endangered.
Code Red for Humanity is not a group of political officials, elected officials. These are the scientists.
That is a top.
Okay, hold on. I'll give you one more alarmist. Here's Jagmeet Singh in a separate tweet. Doesn't have anything to do with the video I just showed you. This is a tweet from yesterday, October 2nd, Jagmeet Singh. I'm not joking with you. This is right in line. He could be taken out of the video. It's not, though. This is him real life. He read the book, or he was told by somebody who read the book.
We just experienced the worst forest fire season in our history. The climate crisis isn't a crisis for the distant future. We're living it right now. Some communities had record-breaking forest fires and record-breaking flooding just a year apart from each other. We need to take action now. The delay of Justin Trudeau and the Liberals is not enough. It's not cutting it. And the denial of the Conservatives, who can't even accept that we're going through climate crisis.
The delay is not enough. It's not cutting it. What delay? Not cutting what? And he blames the Conservatives. Climate crisis. It's a manipulation. It is political rhetoric. It is not based in reality. It is a fabrication of reality that we have to contend with that is not actually happening, but the politicians say it is, and we have to pay for it. Crazy town. Cian Bext is reporting this. Trudeau Liberals paid the World Economic Forum to produce a report that Trudeau could use in Canada to justify the carbon tax. It's a cyclical reasoning. It is, they have a goal. The goal is control of humanity. How do you take control of humanity? You convince humanity that you yourself, your activities are causing your own destruction, and only we know how to solve that. And of course, the way to solve that is to give me all your money. You have a problem and only I can solve it. Give me your money. CanadaPoly.com. I'm just kidding. But fundamentally, right, like this is the lie that they're peddling. There is a catastrophic existential problem, and all you have to do is give me taxes and it'll go away. Right? It's the equivalent of somebody walking into your store, right, in New York at the turn of the century or whatever, and saying it'd be a shame if looters came in here, it'd be a shame if criminals came in here, and then if you pay for protection from me, criminals won't be a problem anymore. And then the shopkeeper says, well, criminals extorting me is not a problem. And then the guy leaves, and then right away you get your store extorted by criminals that he set up. He set up the problem so he could offer you the solution. That's what they're doing. Danielle Smith is responding to this as well, noting that the UK is pushing back against this. The energy, the crazy energy nuts, zealots have gone too far, and the UK has tried to stop it, is in the process of trying to stop it. Danielle Smith says the United Kingdom is now recognizing the significance of keeping affordability and reliability as part of expanding their electricity grid. If only our federal government could follow suit. And this is a Reuters headline, or this is a Reuters quote. We will continue to back the UK's oil and gas industry to underpin our energy security, grow our economy, and help deliver the transition to cheaper, cleaner energy. There's the idea that renewable energy is one, renewable, and two, clean are falsehoods. It's not real. It's not true. They're lies to make it more palatable. The panels are non-recyclable. The windmills are non-recyclable, and the batteries that are sitting in the electric cars are just sitting in fields, rotting away and deteriorating. And it's pretty incredible, right? Deposits of these precious metals will show up years from now, and people will be very confused. Why is there this deposit of weird, metals all put together in this lithium battery thing? It's very, very strange, but it's not clean. It's not renewable. And these are, again, manipulations to get people to want to adopt it. Oh, it's going to be clean eventually. Once everybody adopts it, it'll be clean. We know the answer to this, but we don't, right? They don't. The other part of this is, so climate is one head of the Hydra. And the other head is they want to destroy the culture. And how do you destroy the culture? You flood it with another culture, right? You dilute it to the point of it not existing anymore. That's happened in southern states. That's happening now in northern states, and it's happening in Canada. And they've got and it's happening in Europe too. And they've got different methods of doing it. In Lampedusa, the boats arrive and the migrants show up, and the EU says we have to take them and we have to resettle them in the EU, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Fly them home, right? Like, why are they here in the first place? They shouldn't be here. Fly them home. Spend the resources to remove them from being here. They're not here legally anyway. But they don't do that because reasons. And also, the goal is to destabilize. Well, actually, the goal is a little bit more insidious than that. And I'll have this guy explain it. He interviewed on Tucker Carlson. But New York doesn't want the migrants. Hungary, Poland, they don't want the migrants. And now we're starting to see pushback. Wall Street Silver says migrants have overtaken luxury hotels in New York City. That hotel is raking it in. What rates are they getting per night, per room from New York City taxpayer dollars? $300 per night, $500 per night per room, more? This is a great deal for new migrants' arrivals coming over the border. And Elon Musk says, as the mayor said, New York is running out of hotel rooms. So what's next? Canada's out of hotel rooms too. But what's next is, that's a lovely bedroom you've got there, right? Seems to be empty. Empty bedroom tax coming. Right? Here's Poland's prime minister, or Poland's leader. Ian is highlighting this. He says, I'll let him say it because this is just a quote. Wall Street Silver again says, Germany and France tried to interfere in the election of Hungary to get rid of Viktor Orban, but they failed. Now Germany and France and other EU nations are trying to overthrow the Polish government, which is also against the German population replacement policies. For some reason, Poland and Hungary like their current culture and don't see the need to change them by importing millions of migrants. Go figure. So if population, if climate change is one head, the watering down, dilution, and replacement of population is another head to get control of the West, to get control of Europe, to get control of the West. Because at a macro level, if you have a Western country like Canada with a population of 100 million people, which is what they're trying to do, on paper, you have a very strong country, right? And people, it won't matter what the makeup of that country is until production starts falling and GDP starts falling, et cetera, et cetera. But fundamentally, pliable population is preferable to a population that stands up and says no to things like Trudeau, right? And Canadians have already proven we're not so pliable, and so they don't want us around anymore. But Canadians are Western, and so the whole idea is to replace the West. Here's the president of Poland, and I can't say his name, so I'm not even going to try. Here we go.
The lowest unemployment in European Union is Poland. The highest GDP after COVID in European Union is Poland. One of the lowest debts in European Union is Poland. So don't give us this rubbish about the need of educated immigration, as we heard yesterday. We don't need your doctors. We don't need your engineers. Take them all, and pay for them. We don't need them. You know why? Because there's zero terrorist attacks in Poland. Why? Because there is no illegal migration in Poland. So don't give me this look. Don't give me these arguments about the populism, because this is a fact. This is your data from Eurostat. So we don't need your engineers. We don't need your doctors. Take them. Do not teach us. Do not teach us about democracy, because we know what the democracy is. So learn from Poland. Be like Poland. Thank you very much.
Very interesting stuff coming out of Poland. Here is Tucker Carlson's latest interview. And here they're talking about how the people who are in charge and who have control of the money, et cetera, the guys who brokered the deal for Ukrainian gas and then having American gas or three cities empire controlled gas delivered to give Europe its energy rather than Russian gas. They wanted to take control of it. And they've realized, these people, these powers that be, that they don't have 51% to give consent for what they're planning. And so they have to change the system. That's not my analysis. That's this guy's analysis. You should listen to this. It's 33 minutes, and it's really, really good. Here we go. We'll listen to it right now. Hold on. His name is Victor David Hansen. I had to check. Here we go. Oh, it's going to be like that. Okay, here we go.
I guess to put it all together, they feel that they're at a stage now where their agenda does not appeal to 51% of the people, and they either have to bring in new constituencies or change the system, the entire system of which we are acculturated to retain power, and that's what they're willing to do. And there's no such thing anymore as theft or lies or any of these things, because they're just constructs, and they're just anything that's useful to gain power is considered legitimate, and anything that's not useful is illegitimate, and that's how they define morality. And I think we're very naive, Tucker. We don't realize that we're in the middle of a revolution. We think that we're still playing within the same sidelines or parameters, and it's not. Everything's under negotiation, whether it's the Senate filibuster, the Electoral College, new states coming in, the size of the Supreme Court, voting IDs, the genders, the foundational data of the United States, pronoun usage, from the trivial to the existential. We're in the middle of a cultural, economic, political revolution, and I think we got to wake up.
I mean, I suppose the danger is that if the average person decides that the system is illegitimate, it's not fair, it doesn't have any meaning beyond the political desires of the people administering it, then what prevents the average person from resorting to violence? In other words, if you have no power, if your vote means nothing, if the system is BS, then why don't you take up arms? Seriously.
Well, two things I think have precluded that so far. One is, I call it the monastery of the mind. A lot of people just say, you know what, I'm checking out. I don't want to watch the Oscars. I don't even know what the Tonys or Emmys are. I don't watch the NBA.
So he makes the argument that the bulwark against this is people just removing themselves from broader society and creating their own microculture. And the reason that he says this is this will ultimately fail is because the state will come after you. The state will find you. You can't hide from the state because having a million migrants isn't enough. They need 10 million, 20 million. Having 90% isn't enough. They need 100%, right? They will come after you. And that's just it. They will, right? Trudeau's been after me for years, right? I'm his white whale. Not really. Probably, maybe a little bit. Because I call him potato-faced, and he hates it. I know he hates it, right? I can feel it. Every time I call him potato-faced, he hates it. But just like Chrystia Freeland, I know that she hates being called Baba Freeland because I can feel it. I know that she hates it. So that's why I do it. But these are the reasons. They're petty people, and they're doing their best. And they thought C-18 would do it. They thought C-11 would do it. They think this is going to do it. I'm not news. Are you kidding me? I'm not news. I'm just some dude in my garage. This is a podcast. This is a political science lesson. This is whatever you want it to be. But it's certainly not what they're claiming it is. And so this won't work either, right? They've been trying for years, and they still can't get it because they lost the argument. And censorship is the last resort of a loser who lost the argument, a potato-faced loser who lost the argument, right? So Justin Trudeau is no more than that. And here's Pierre Poilievre. And again, I don't trust Pierre Poilievre because he works for a party that seems not legitimate to me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But he's put out this, and he says, not that the party's not legitimate, but they have backroom deals. They have deals with people that are not surface level, transparent, and I don't trust them. I don't trust them because they've burned people in the past. So why would I trust them? Anyway, Poilievre says, Trudeau's creepy decision to force podcasts to register with his government is his latest attempt at censorship. I will repeal the censorship and bring home free speech. It's a 1.5 minute long video here. I'll play the first minute because I feel bad not playing it, but here we go.
There's just an emergency here in Parliament Hill. The Liberals have just announced that they're shutting down debate. They're censoring debate on their censorship bill.
Really, Bill C-11 is a censorship bill.
Today, I hope to teach the committee about Canada's vast YouTuber community and why so many of us fear Bill C-11, a bill we did not ask for, do not need, and threatens the success we've already achieved.
So it's got quotes on the screen. This is Margaret Atwood saying it is creeping totalitarianism if the governments are telling creators what to create. And that's exactly true. So, and this whole video is Poilievre saying he'll repeal that and bring home free speech. Corey says there are thousands of content producers in Canada. It would be a nightmare for the CRTC to try and track down and control the content of them all. There are only dozens of large hosts, though. That's why the CRTC is registering the streaming hosts. They will compel the hosts to become the content police on their behalf. It's insidious, unnecessary, and repugnant, like most of what the Trudeau regime has been doing lately. I don't know that this is going to work. I don't know that the podcast or the streaming hosts are going to register. I don't know that, does that mean that Facebook is going to have to register as a streaming host if they allow people to put up videos of them talking about something for 30 seconds or something like that? Yes, it does. And so will they stop that behavior? Yep, probably. So these idiots don't understand what they're trying to regulate, and they're trying to harm our country, not help it. And I believe that fully. I don't think that Trudeau has one little tiny bit of love for Canadians. I think he loves Canada as much as he loves Pierre Elliott Trudeau. How's that? Vicious. Here is Michael Schellenberger. He says EU, UN, WEF, and Trudeau simultaneously demand crackdown on independent news and podcasting. Canada creates a media registry. EU targets X. United Nations WEF Internet Governance Forum plot global censorship with big tech. And this is just an article that's completely on X, so that's interesting. And it says, for months, representatives of Prime Minister Trudeau's government insisted that their plans to regulate big tech social media platforms wouldn't impact independent news outlets or podcasters. I think we brought the necessary changes to the bill to reassure them and to make sure these platforms are in and users are out. Minister Rodriguez told the media, echoing what he had been telling members of Parliament. As a result of government reassurances, their legislation passed, which is such nonsense. Everybody knew what they were going to do. This isn't a mystery or a surprise. Everybody knew it. The senators who passed it knew it. The people in the House of Commons who passed it knew it. Everybody knew what the outcome of this was going to be. Back to this. Is there an article? I thought there was a video, but never mind. What I'm trying to compel to you, or to relate to you with this article, is that at the same time, as if in lockstep, where have we heard that before? The EU, the WEF, United Nations, and UK all are moving in lockstep to silence people, to censor the internet. The reason is because they lost. The reason is because the only way they can win is if we stop talking. And we won't. We won't. They've lost. They can't stop us talking. What a ridiculous idea. And I mean, they've tried. They are still trying. And they're going to levy fines, and they're going to do all sorts of things. They may even try jail time. They may. But it is fundamentally antithetical to Canada, to our basic rights and our agreement with government to have our expression rights curtailed in this way. There is no justification for it. These people are losers, and they don't have anything. All they have is censorship. All they have is censorship, because they can't make a half decent argument. Period. They can't. Here's Pierre Poilievre again. He says, I'll dismantle Trudeau's censorship state and restore free speech for all. Sign if you agree. And he's got a Canadian flag in his little meme here. The whole idea of signing petitions and things like that, I really went sour on it in 2018. Like in 2018, I thought maybe it did something. Now, all that it does is hands over your information to people who want to collect your information. That is it. Mike, yesterday I showed you a video by this guy explaining why LNG and the monopoly of sending LNG to power Europe was basically the reason for cutting Russia out. Well, one of the reasons, not just the only reason, but one of the reasons, a monetary reason, right? It's influence, it's motivation in monetary form. And so he's put together a podcast, and he says, my response to the Washington Post, this is a 40-minute lecture, part 1, in what I'd like to be an ongoing series on censorship industry decoded. The first video cut through the tricks and traps in Washington Post's verbiage. These tricks are stock for the industry and essential to understand. If you've watched this show for any period of time, this is kind of what I do in Canadian news, just breaking down the language they use, or the kind of vague language they use to relay something that they want you to believe, but isn't actually factually true. Right? So it's interesting, and it's probably worth your time beyond the scope of today's podcast, but he's a really interesting dude. I'd never heard of him until yesterday, and he's a super interesting dude. In the 24 hours I've been aware of him. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful